Welcome everyone to the Sports Jai Network. And today in this video, I am previewing this upcoming fight night card from Des Moines, Iowa, featuring in the main event Cory Sandhagen versus Deiveson Figueiredo. As UFC's returned to Iowa for the first time in like a while. I remember they went there like within the last 10 years. They went there like I think one time, but they don't go there often. They don't go there often. If you know back in the day, the first like true train camp or fight gym, MMA gym that was elite was the Milicic Fighting Academy, which was in Iowa. It was Pat Milicic. He was I think the first UFC welterweight champion. Yeah, Tim Sylvia, who became heavyweight champion. Matt Hughes fought out there for a long time. Welterweight champ, one of the greatest welterweights, in my opinion, the second best welterweight. Well, him or Kamaru Usman. You can make an argument for Usman, but Matt Hughes up there. Robbie Lawler started his career there for like the first like half of his career was in Milicic's fight camp in Iowa. So Iowa does have a history of that has that play a big part in MMA history. I think Jens Pulver was there, the former lightweight champion, recent UFC Hall of Famer. So yeah, so Iowa's play a part in MMA. That's what I'm trying to get at. So UFC returned to Iowa. They don't go there often, so they're here. It's good. It's good because the UFC got popular by going to these markets that boxing didn't go to. That sometimes even professional wrestling doesn't go to these markets that often, and that's how the UFC grew popular because they put fights there, and the people loved it and grew and became fans. That's why you see fighters from all around like different places in America come out and fight for the most part. A lot of guys train in like South Florida, Vegas, California to a certain degree, and Arizona, but still, a lot of these guys looking to come from these different places and stuff. It's still like that to this day. So it's kind of cool that they're going to Iowa, kind of like continuing that trend. That's what I'm trying to get at. Hopefully, I made sense. I didn't sound like gibber. It didn't sound like gibberish at the end, but yeah, UFC going these places, putting shows there, create new fans, and it gets people excited and maybe inspires people from these places to do fighting. And then that's where you get a bunch of fights from these different parts of America and of course the world, of course. But anyway, I'm looking forward to this card. It's a good card for the most part. It's got some veterans. It's got high level bantamweights. It's got upcoming guys, prospects, but also guys who might enter the rankings if they win, aka the co-main event, which we'll get to when we get to. But let's start with the first fight on the main card, which is in the lightweight division between Jeremy Stephens and Mason Jones. Jeremy Stephens is back in the UFC. He was in the UFC for a long time. I think from like 08 to 2021, he was in the UFC, and then left because I think his contract ran out, or they cut him, and then he's been doing bare knuckle boxing. He's been doing other things for the meantime, and now the UFC re-signed him. I'm trying to see his last. I'm trying to check his last UFC fight before this one. 2021 was his last UFC fight. Before, so it's been about almost 4 years since he's been in the UFC. He went to the PFL, had mixed results, 1-2 in the PFL. And then he's done bare knuckle boxing. He's done, bare knuckle boxing and boxing in general. He boxed Jose Aldo. He beat Eddie Alvarez in the bare knuckle boxing just in January, which is crazy because bare knuckle boxing, guys, you get cut up very easily. You take a good amount of damage, especially against someone who's decent skilled. So yeah, Jeremy Stephens, first MMA fight in 3 years. Now I'm picking Mason Jones. I mean, come on. Mason Jones, I know this is his first fight back in the UFC because he was in the UFC also, but then I think he got cut or his contract ran out. I forget what happened with Mason Jones. I'm trying to see like his last UFC fight, and I'm just checking on my phone. I wish I could just go on my laptop, type it out, but then sometimes when I do that, it slows down and the video gets laggy, and I don't want to do that here. So his last UFC fight was July 2022. Since then, he's fought on Cage Warriors and he's on a 4-fight win streak. His last fight in July, and his last loss was to Ludovic Klein, which is not a bad loss to have considering Ludovic Klein's about to fight Gamrot, and he's been surging in the lightweight division. So Ludovic Klein's really good. It's not the worst loss to have on your resume if you think about it, especially if he beats Mateusz Gamrot in the end of May. But yeah, like 15-1, he's got a lot of TKOs, 7 TKOs and KOs in his 15 victories, 15-2 from Welch, 30 years old. Jerry Stephens is 39 and about to turn 39. Well, Mason Jones is 30. on a win streak. I know it's the Cage Warriors, but Cage Warriors has some good fighters. They got some good fighters. There's some guys who come out and have success, from McGregor to Paddy Pimblett, etc. So Cage Warriors is a very good organization from England, UK, and yeah, UK, because I know some Irish fighters that fight out there too. But and I just expect him to win. Younga has, he has, he can take guys down. Jeremy Stevens' grappling defense and wrestling has never been his strong suit, and I don't think he's improved on this. So he's been doing boxing and bare knuckle boxing since then. Unless Jeremy Stevens all of a sudden is reversed to his old self from like 8 years ago, and it's just fast, has like speed or something, and he can catch Mason Jones. I don't expect him to really hurt Mason Jones badly in the striking. I expect Mason Jones to be able to be faster and have the youth advantage and be able to mix the martial arts, him with good striking and take him down, just dominate him and basically win it by decision potentially, or by maybe like a TKO where maybe he catches Stevens, hurts him, and then just beats him up and finishes him, because Stevens has been finished in his career before. So, but I can see Mason Jones maybe catching it, maybe taking him down, maybe ground and pounding him, or catching him with some shot and then just finishing him via stoppage. I can totally see that in this fight. I got Mason Jones winning by decision or by TKO finish somewhere. And I don't know what round. Maybe late first round. It's pop first or second because Stevens hasn't fought in MMA fight in 3 years. So yeah, I'm going Mason Jones by decision or by first, second round TKO. Mason Jones should win this easily. We'll change it from that fight to the next fight on the main card, which is also, I believe, in the lightweight division. No, bantamweight division. Cameron Smotherman take on Serhiy Sidey. These are two prospects. I'm surprised their main card of this fight night, considering these are two prospects. Not exactly have a ton of hype behind them. I mean, there's some, but it's not like these are like guys that people are talking about. Oh, these guys are future and this and that. Not necessarily. I mean, they're both good fighters, good solid fighters. I mean, 11-2 is Sidey and then Cameron Smotherman's 12-4. Both come off victories in the last fights. And I'm going Cameron Smotherman. Cameron Smotherman, based on what I've seen, looks like the more better fighter. I feel like the guys he's beaten might be, to me, are a little bit better than Sidey. And plus, Serhiy Sidey, I forgot. He had those back-to-back fights with, I forget the guy's name. I think it was Torres was his last name. One was an early stoppage, and then the other one he lost in the RB1. But then his last fight I was just watching last night, and he didn't. I mean, you make an argument he didn't win. I mean, it was super close against Grant. I think Armsfield. I think that was the guy he lost. He beat in his last fight, and his first name was Grant. I think it was. I mean, Garrett, not Grant. Garrett Armfield. Ugh, I don't know why I thought Grant. Garrett Armfield. He beat by split decision that he arguably lost to. And Garrett Armfield's all right, but he ain't exactly like all that good. Like, I mean, he's not terrible, but he ain't exactly like a guy to watch out for, in my opinion, at the moment. Maybe you can prove me wrong, but at the moment, I just don't see it with him. And then Cameron Smotherman beat Jake Hadley. Granted, it was short. To be fair, it was a short notice fight for Hadley because Hadley was supposed to fight a grappler, but then Cameron Smotherman took the fight in short notice, and Hadley looked good. I mean, not Hadley. Smotherman looked very good. I think one thing about Smotherman that I think is going to help him is that Sidey, based on some of his other fights he has, he's a fast starter, but he kind of slows down as the fight keeps going. Slows down at times. And Smotherman is very good with body shots, very good. And Sidey's actually, I believe, a taller bantamweight, if I'm not mistaken. I know Smotherman's 5'9", 69-inch reach, and then you have Sidey, Serhiy Sidey, who's 5'11", 72-inch reach. So Sidey has the reach advantage, but Smotherman's good attacking the body, and Sidey being a taller fighter, that's the thing you should do is attack the body. And I can totally see Cameron Smotherman attacking that body of Sidey and just catching him and slowing him down as the fight keeps going. Especially since Sidey starts fast at times and slows down as the fight keeps going, and so that can really hurt him. That can really slow him down faster, getting hit with the body. But also, if you're Cameron Smotherman, if you're not careful, he could catch you and hurt you. But I think Smotherman's better. I think he's fought better competition. I know he at one point he was bleeding like 2-3 or 3-3, but then since then he's only lost one fight. I believe in his last 11 fights, he's like 10 10-1, not 10-1, but I think he's actually 8-1 for his last 10 fights. Let me check that right now. Oh no, he was 4 and okay, he was 3-2. He was 4-3. He started his career 4-3. Since then, he's won 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He's won 8 of his last 9 fights since then. I mean, Cameron Sutherland's on a roll. He looks very good. He's got a lot of potential. He's got good striking, very good striking. And I think he's younger too. He's 27. Sidey's about 30, I believe. Sidey is 30 years old. No, 28. My bad. 28 years old. So, yeah, I'm going Cameron Smotherman. I like his striking better. I think he's a better striker. I think you make arguments his competition has been a little bit better than Sidey's, and doesn't slow down like Sidey does. And also another thing, I'm just gonna say it. I can't trust a Canadian man to win. Sidey's from Ukraine, but trains out Canada, lives in Canada, and the last several years, Canadian men have been horrible in MMA. They have not succeeded. I don't know what happened to Canada. You had George St. Pierre, Rory McDonald, Michael McDonald. You had good fighters, and then the last 6 years or 6, 7 years, there hasn't been any young upcoming Canadian fighters who made a name for themselves and actually done well in the UFC or even in major MMA promotions. I can't recall any of them. Rory was the last one, and Rory retired 2021 or something like that. I know that sounds like a weird thing to say, but look at the track record of Canadian male fighters. It's been awful. They have not done well. Canadian males have not done well in MMA in recent years. It's crazy how Canada's fallen off in the men's when it comes to male MMA, and I just can't trust a Canadian fighter. I just can't. I know it sounds crazy, but look at the resume the last 5 years. Tell me, can you trust a Canadian male fighter? I can't. That's another reason why I'm paying Cameron Smotherman. Sounds kind of crazy, weird thing to say, but I think it has to be acknowledged. I'm gonna acknowledge it. We'll transition from that to the next fight. I got Cameron Smotherman winning by decision. I got the next fight because a lot of his recent victories have been by decisions. Cameron Smotherman, of course. We'll transition from that fight to the next fight, which is the bantamweight division. Montel Jackson against Daniel Marcos. Marcos is 17-0, but I think he's gonna get his first loss because Montel Jackson is good. He doesn't fight often. He doesn't fall often like I wish he would, but when he fights, he's high level. This guy is good. He's ranked for a reason. This guy is very good. He's got a 75-inch reach, which is crazy from the bantamweight division. A guy in bantamweight to have that long a reach is insane. And the thing with Marcos is that Marcos, as good as he is, not exactly a high-level wrestler. I think he needs to be like a grappler or like a wrestler who has good entries to beat Montel Jackson. Because if you don't have that, or if you don't got like crazy power to counter Jackson, you're not gonna beat him. Jackson has 2 losses. One was to Ricky Simone. The other one was Brett Johns, and I think it was the Simone fight that the rules were. I think if they had the modern rules, he probably would have won that fight. No, maybe the Brett Johns fight. One of those fights he probably would have won if then the modern rules were damage and impact was very taken into account with fights. Because Montel Jackson just kept getting taken down, but he didn't see a lot of damage. I'm trying to remember which fight he lost. That was it. Might have been the Brett Johns fight. Anyway, those guys beat him with grappling and wrestling, but at the same time, it wasn't like they did damage or did a lot to him. Montel Jackson's good. He's since losing to Brett Johns. He's on a 5-fight win streak, and he beat Damon Blackshear in under 20 seconds in freaking July last year. And since then, Damon Blackshear is on a tear. He's won 3 in a row and has looked very impressive since that loss. So that victory's aged very well for Jackson. He dropped Julio Arce in that fight and actually beat him very, very well. Considering being very good, considering Julio Arce is a good kickboxer, has a good striking, and he did a good job there. And he's got heavy hands. Montel Jackson, 5'10" and freaking 75.5 inches reach. Crazy. Marcos is good, but at the same time, it's like Marcos arguably lost to Davey Grant. And Davey Grant's a good fighter, but at the same time, Grant's good, but at the same time, it's like he's like barely he's always hovering top 14, 15 underneath. If that makes sense. Grant's not a bad fighter, but at the same time, he's not exactly like super high level, if that makes sense. And he already lost that fight, Marcos. And then Marcos had a split decision against Adrian Yanez. Yanez is a solid fighter, not a bad fighter, but Yanez isn't what we thought he was. And then, Daniel Marcos is good, but he's not exactly like a guy that he's not a guy that I expect to be a title challenger at the moment. I could be wrong, but I just don't see it with him. Plus I think Jackson's just far superior to him. He's ranked for a reason. I think Jackson's going to finish him, knock him out. I think the reach is going to be a problem because Montel Jackson is a 7-inch reach advantage, no, a 6-inch reach advantage over Marcos, and Marcos doesn't have the wrestling to take him to give Jackson problems. Doesn't have the grappling to give him problems. He's got some knockout power. Does Marcos, but I don't think it's like next level knockout power to where he can really catch Jackson or him badly. Like I don't see him getting inside his guard or inside his range and catching Jackson. I think Jackson's going to use his range very well. Knows how to use it. He's going to catch Marcos, harm badly, and finish him probably somewhere in like the second round. I got Jackson by second round finish. Jackson's good, and hopefully he can fight more often. I want to see him fight more often because I think this guy can do well in the bantamweight division. Although, like I said, grappling is going to be, I think grappling can give him problems, but he might have improved at grappling since that fight because he hasn't lost since 2020. So he might improve there, but we'll see. Montel Jackson, second round. Then from that fight to the next fight in the welterweight division, Santiago Ponzinibbio taking on Daniel Rodriguez. I got Ponzinibbio. Ponzinibbio, to me, they're both older guys and both guys who were ranked at one point but fallen off. But the thing with Ponzinibbio is that I feel like Ponzinibbio's fought better competition than Rodriguez. He's fought better competition and has done well versus Rodriguez. Rodriguez in his last several fights has not exactly – he's had a moment. He didn't look the best. He's 38 years old. Granted, they're both older. He got a victory over Alex Morono, which is a solid victory to have back in October. But before that, lost to Calvin Gastelum. But to be fair, Gastelum missed weight, and then they moved to middleweight, and which was something he wasn't expected. And the striking did okay, but he did okay in the striking. It's just the wrestling is what killed him, Calvin. And then he got finished by Ian Machado Gary before that fight. The fight before Calvin Gastelum, and that was a year after, and he took a year off after getting finished by Ian Gary. Even though he was supposed to fight Ponzinibbio in September, but I got canceled. I don't know why, but it did. So these two were supposed to fight before. And I think Ponzinibbio trains at a better gym. I think Ponzinibbio is not afraid to make a fight, boring or, use wrestling to do whatever he can to win. Not that Ponzinibbio is the most boring guy, because he's not super boring, Ponzinibbio, but he's not afraid to make it a little bit boring, to use wrestling and make it to where it's not exactly the most entertaining fight. He's not, and I think he's got better grappling and has more tools to win than Daniel Rodriguez. Now, with striking, can Rodriguez catch Ponzinibbio? Yeah, he can, but I don't think he will. I just don't think he will, Daniel Rodriguez. And Ponzinibbio, like I mentioned, fought better guys. He actually beat Neil Magny. Neil Magny's always been a gatekeeper. If you could beat Neil Magny, you're definitely someone who could do something in the welterweight division. He beat him in 2018, back when Neil Magny was still in his prime, was still like a legitimate top 10 guy despite being a gatekeeper. And whereas freaking Daniel Rodriguez lost Neil Magny somehow in 2022, and then got gifted a bullshit decision against the Leech, where that was a terrible robbery. That was when 2022 was filled with a bunch of robberies and terrible decisions. Rodriguez is good, but I just think he's solid, but Ponzinibbio just has more tools. He's showcased wrestling. He's not afraid to use it. Rodriguez hasn't shown me that he can, handle like consistent wrestling and do very good against someone who knows how to do it very well. And Ponzinibbio, like I mentioned, I know he's come out with victory over Carlston Harris, which is a solid victory. Lost a split decision, Muslim Salikov, a very close fight. Then, Kevin Holland, he actually was doing very well in terms of leg kicking Holland, throwing leg kicks and stuff, and dealing with, and Holland caught him and finished him in the third round back in Miami in 2023. He actually did good with leg kicking Holland and actually was doing better than I expected in striking. Even though Holland was doing all right, but still Holland wasn't destroying him or anything. And Holland at welterweight is way better than middleweight, but Ponzinibbio was doing solid for the most part before. Holland had his moments, and Holland did finish him, but still, it's like, damn, you're doing. And to me, Holland's more athletic and way more rangier than Dan Rodriguez, and I feel like Ponzinibbio going through that's going to help him deal with someone like Rodriguez. And Rodriguez is susceptible to leg kicks, so Ponzinibbio might throw that at him. So I can see Ponzinibbio winning by decision, thanks to leg kicking and find better guys and be more rounded and using wrestling to take him down and beat him. Got Ponzinibbio win by decision. I always wonder if Ponzinibbio never got injured or never had that issue when he missed 2 years of fighting, where his career would have been, because he was ranked in the top 10 after late 2018, then didn't fight till like 2021. But besides the point. Anyway, but yeah, Ponzinibbio should win. We'll change from that fight to the next fight in the middleweight division between Reinier de Ridder and Bo Nickal. A lot of people are picking Reinier de Ridder just because they think Bo Nickal is overhyped, overrated. Some people don't like Bo Nickal. Plus, Ridder's got good grappling, but I think Bo Nickal is going to beat Reinier de Ridder. The thing with Reinier de Ridder is that his striking is terrible. And it's shocking. This guy is bad striking because he's from Holland. He's Dutch. The Dutch are great kickboxers. They do well in kickboxing. Anybody knows about kickboxing knows the Dutch are very high-level kickboxers. So a lot of them, from Sammy Shield to Ernesto Hoos, Overeem, of course. Who's another Dutch one? I think Rico van Hoeven's from Netherlands, or there's another Dutch kickboxer I'm forgetting who's done well for himself in the kickboxing world. Anyway, Bas Ruijm's a good striker for his time from Holland. And the thing is, the Netherlands always produces good strikers, and yet Reinier de Ridder is just bad striking. His grappling is good. He's got great grappling. His submission game is elite, but it's just his striking is so piss poor. Like, you watch that GM3 fight, his debut. GM3 was basically just kicking him apart in the striking department, just beat him up badly. And this is GM3, who is a good fighter, but he made GM3 look like a world-class striker before he was able to take GM3 down and submit him. And Raiders come on that victory with Kevin Holland in January, which Holland middleweights is not exactly the best version, especially if you're going against the grappler, which Raider had a huge grappling advantage and took advantage of that and submitted him. And the thing is, Bo Nickal's got good wrestling defense. Like, Bo Nickal's an elite wrestler. He's got good defense for taking down. Reinier de Ridder is not good enough to take Bo Nickal down. For Reinier de Ridder to win this fight, he's gonna have to take Bo Nickal down, and he's not. And Bo Nickal is too good with his defense, way too good. Especially for someone like Reinier de Ridder to take him down, and if he can't do that, de Ridder's fucked. His striking is not good. I don't think he's gonna improve striking that much from January to now, to where he can catch Bo Nickal. And Bo Nickal's got solid striking, not elite, but remember, Bo Nickal's 7-0. And he's clearly working on his striking every day. He's going to get better and better. He's like 29, Bo Nickal, somewhere around that age. Let me check. I think he's 29. Yeah, he's 29 years old. He's getting better and better in that department. Remember, he's 7-0 MMA, like I mentioned. He's going to get better in that department. His striking looks solid for the most part. I know the Paul Craig fight was a shit fight. It was not good. And Bo Nickal didn't do himself any favors. But Bo Nickal actually landed some decent overhands on Paul Craig in that fight. And Paul Craig and de Ridder are somewhat similar in terms of guys who have the best striking, but if they take you down and you're grappling, you're in trouble. Now I can make an argument that de Ridder is probably better in the grappling than Paul Craig, and it's an argument, it's debatable. And the body frame is very similar. Guys who are heavyweights who fight middleweights. Remember, de Ridder was a champion at 1 and 205 and 185. And he beat some good guys too, de Ridder. But that was because he had a good grappling and submission advantage over those guys that won. Where he's there fighting with the wrestling credentials of Bo Nickal. I just don't see de Ridder basically taking him down. I just can't see it. His striking isn't the best. Bo Nickal's striking is decent. I think he's improving a lot. I think he's getting better. He's showcasing some of his fights. He's got solid striking. And I think he's only going to get better and better. And I think he's going to catch de Ridder and hurt him badly. And I think I can see him finishing de Ridder, but I can also see him win by decision. I think it's probably going to be a decision, Bo Nickal, but I think at one point he's going to hurt de Ridder, catch him, and have him stumbling or have him wobbled or rocked in his fights. I think that's what's going to happen. Bo Nickal's going to catch him overhand or something. De Ridder's going to get rocked, and and I think Bo Nickal's going to win the decision, or he can finish de Ridder. I would not be surprised if de Ridder gets finished by Bo Nickal, but I think it's going to be a decision. I'm going to be impressed if he finishes de Ridder, considering de Ridder's ranked, and de Ridder's good. Like I said, I like de Ridder. Reinier de Ridder is good, but at the same time, I think it's a bad matchup for him. He doesn't have Bo Nickal's too good with defensive wrestling, defensive grappling for someone like de Ridder, who's a jiu-jitsu guy, to take him down. And then unless he somehow improved on that and just somehow got better at that stuff, and which I don't see. Unless he become like an Aljamain Sterling type, I just don't see him taking Bo Nickal down, like I mentioned. And just his striking's so bad, I just can't see him improving on that. Yeah, I got Bo Nickal winning. Sorry if I sound redundant, but I'm just making the point why. Because a lot of people are picking de Ridder to win, but I'm going to explain why I'm going with Bo Nickal. Yeah, Bo Nickal should win by decision. I got Bo Nickal. Then that fight to the main event: Cory Sandhagen versus Deiveson Figueiredo. Great main event, excellent main event. I'm a Figueiredo fan. First of all, the odds for this fight are crazy that Cory Sandhagen that big of a favorite, but Cory Sandhagen is going to win, in my opinion. And it sucks. I like Figueiredo. I've always been a fan of him since like the Benavidez fights. When we beat Benavidez. Well, he beat Benavidez twice. The first one was controversial. The second one was clearly dominated Benavidez, and it finished him badly. As I knock my mic down, let me just fix it real quick. Hang on. Sorry, I'm knocking my mic down. I'm just trying to fix my mic so I can finish this video. Okay, mic. Okay, we're good. Anyway, yeah, I've been a fan of Figueiredo since 2020. Before that, I didn't really know much about Figueiredo, but then I went back and learned more about him, and I like him. This is a guy who was a sushi chef, hairstylist, and a freaking taxi driver, and became a UFC champion. I just thought he had a cool background, extreme background. Figueiredo's been one of my favorites for a while. He's got a unique background. Me and my brother used to dub him the most interesting man in the world, just because not many fighters have like the background in those careers like he does, like he has done, and become elite fighter like he's become. And Figueiredo's elite, and he's had a good bantamweight run so far. He was 3-0 before losing Petr Yan, but Yan is Petr Yan. He's very good. He had a moment, I think it was around 4, where he caught Yan and hurt him back. We caught Yan and rocked him, but Yan was able to survive and win. So Figueiredo is good, and I would like for Figueiredo 1, but I just think the problem with Sandhagen is that Sandhagen is too tall for that division. Too tall for Figueiredo. In my opinion, Sandhagen should move in weight classes, but besides the point, he's very good at using his size to his advantage. He's good at beating up smaller guys. He's good at he's good at fighting guys who are a lot of the guys he fights are smaller than him in bantamweight division. So he's good at using his height and reach to his advantage. Sandhagen's got a 70-inch reach. Figueiredo's got long arms for his long arms for his size, and for the bantamweight, he's got 68-inch reach. So it's only 2 inches, difference between the two. But at the same time, I'm going to pause there for what I said. Anyway, Figueiredo. The thing is, Sandhagen's good at using his. He's a good striker. I know people get criticized for his last fight because he kept trying to feint too much and not going for it. And literally he was trying to be too technical against Umar Nurmagomedov, and it cost him, which is a fair point. I think Sandhagen's has learned from that and is basically trying to not do that again. And Sandhagen's good. He's a very good fighter. The thing with Figueiredo that hurts him that Umar has a takedown threat and very good takedowns. Where Figueiredo's good. Figueiredo's got solid takedowns, especially at flyweight, but he's not to the level of Umar or Aljamain Sterling or even at Dillashaw, guys who have wrestling backgrounds who can take Sandhagen down or threaten him with that. Or even Yan for the most part. Yan's a striker, but Yan's got good solid wrestling and showcasing the bantamweight division. He had a good takedown of Figueiredo in their fight. He took him down, I believe, in the first round in their fight. Yan, talking about. So, unfortunately, Figueiredo only has that to where he can threaten Sandhagen with the takedowns or take him down, slow him down, and maybe make it easy to hit him. He doesn't have that. Sandhagen is, to me, a more dynamic striker than Figueiredo. I feel like he has more ways to hit you, more things to hit you with, whether it's punches, elbows, kicks, knees, especially his jumping knee, which he's knocked Frankie Edgar out, and Sandhagen loves throwing that. And I can slowly see him throwing that just to catch Figueiredo. I can see him catching Figueiredo with a jump knee. Do I think he's going to do that? Probably not, but still, I can see him throwing it just to get Figueiredo something to think about. To me, he's got way more tools to beat Figueiredo than Figueiredo does, and I think he's going to win via decision. And plus, Sandhagen is motivated after that last fight, and plus, I think he said in an interview that he has family in Iowa, and he wants to put on a great show for the fans in Iowa, considering they don't come to Iowa often, so he wants to inspire the people of Iowa, give them a great performance, maybe do well for them, maybe get into MMA and things like that. So he's motivated. I believe he motivated Sandhagen. That's really what I wants to. That's on a mission. It's a very dangerous Sandhagen, a very good one, and I think Sandhagen's going to win by decision. Just going to have more tools to win. Do I think he'll? And plus, he might take down Figueiredo. Now, I don't think he's going to be as successful as Yan because Yan, to me, is a much stronger at bantamweight and a better, and arguably better wrestler than Sandhagen. But Sandhagen, before the Umar fight, was taking guys down at will. Was taking guys down. Was doing very good at that. But the thing is, I think Figueiredo is so strong at bantamweight that, and he's always had a decent takedown defense. I mentioned he got taken down by Yan, but Yan didn't exactly taken down a bunch in their fights. Yan being the most in striking. Figueiredo, after a while, was able to stuff a lot of some of Yan's takedowns later on in their fight. So I could totally see Sandhagen going for it, and Figueiredo being successful in defending it, but at the same time, I can see him just doing it, giving Figueiredo something to think about. And I don't think Figueiredo has the ability to do that with Sandhagen, unfortunately. Like I said, I would prefer Figueiredo won, but I think Sandhagen's going to win by decision. More tools to win, more motivated, and Figueiredo doesn't have the wrestling to drain Sandhagen. And in striking, it's good. He's a good striker, but I don't think it's dynamic enough to where he could catch Sandhagen and hurt him badly like Yan was able to do, where Yan rocked him because Yan. Yan's more boxing based. Yan is so good at it, so fundamental, and is so technical that he can use that to get Sandhagen, by Sandhagen doing all the other stuff he does. He's able to time Sandhagen and catch him. I think he was able to do it much better than Figueiredo has the ability to do it. Unfortunately, and it sucks because Figueiredo is good. He's a very good striker, very good at bantamweight. If Figueiredo catches him with the right shot, he can hurt Sandhagen badly. It's possible. Would I be totally shocked if Figueiredo won? Not necessarily, but I just don't expect it. So I got Sandhagen win this fight. Yeah, so my predictions are I got Mason Jones, I got Cameron Smotherman, I got Ponzinibbio, I got Montel Jackson, then Ponzinibbio. I'm going order based on the card. Yeah, Mason Jones, Cameron Smotherman, Montel Jackson, Santiago Ponzinibbio, Bo Nickal, and Cory Sandhagen is my winners for this card. For winners for their fights in this card. And thank you guys for watching and listening. Give the video a like. Let me know what fight you look forward to the most, who you think's going to win, and why. I look forward to seeing you guys next time. And probably my next video I do won't be an MMA video. It'll be a baseball video. Like I mentioned in my post I made on Friday, I was going to do a baseball video. I'm probably going to do that next. But next week, I will be reviewing this card and previewing the UFC 315 pay-per-view as well. So I'm still doing MMA videos. You're still going to get a bunch of them. So it's all good. But yeah, thank you guys for watching and listening. I'll see you guys next time. Have a good day, good night, and peace. God bless, and I'll see you next time.